Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And the last few days have just been full of excitement, haven't they? First of all, congratulations to the Dodgers on winning their first World Series championship since 1988. In 1988, when Kirk Gibson, number 23, hit that home run in Game 1, I was 23, and it's been a long time coming since the Dodgers won that last World Series. Actually, looking at the whole season in retrospect, the Dodgers were the best team, and the World Series just simply showed that off in grand style. Great season by the Rays. Congratulations to them as well. You had the best two teams in Major League Baseball fighting it out, and that showed. So, where did they go from here? Let's take a look at the Rays this morning. How about it? I think the Rays just get better from here. I really do. I'm sure all winter long, Rays fans will second-guess manager Kevin Cash and his decision to pull Blake Snell in the sixth inning. They threw him 5 1/3 innings, 9 strikeouts, was really in control. Hadn't thrown a lot of pitches this whole season because, of course, it was a short season. But it looked to me like Snell was in gear to throw a complete game and send it to Game 7. Instead, Kevin Cash pulls his star pitcher out in the sixth inning with the game tied, and then the Dodgers go on to score 2 more runs. I'm sure that'll be talked about a lot. I'm done talking about it on here. No need to chew your cabbage twice, right? And I wanted to send a shout out this morning to a friend of mine, Dennis Stevenson, who's been watching the show, said he enjoys it. Thank you, Dennis. Anyone watching this morning, feel free to comment. I'd love to hear your comments, love to talk about it with you. Those in the chat room, as always, thank you for joining. It was a great start to our day this morning at 9 o'clock, and now I'm just trying to grab the rope and hold on. Here we go. So let's talk about those Rays for a moment. You have Nick Anderson, a strong bullpen. I know Anderson wishes he had a few pitches back from the World Series. But look what the Rays did. Look, they won their first American League East title since 2010. So it's been 10 years since an American League East title. Move over, Yankees. Move over, Red Sox. You don't live here anymore. And they had 40 wins. They made their second World Series appearance. Good morning, Kurt Hinton. The man is in the house. I see. It's good to see you, Kurt. We'll talk about the Redbirds in just a moment if you want. And if you have any fantasy football questions, I'm ready to answer those too. We're going to talk fantasy football in just a few minutes. And this is going to be a shorter show today. I have a real estate showing at 11 o'clock, so I've got to get the content out there and move it along. Yeah, don't you like that? But the Rays had an impressive season. They accomplished things they haven't accomplished lately. And frankly, they were just a few outs away from going to a Game 7. Look, Mike Brousseau's solo home run off Aroldis Chapman will be long remembered by Yankee fans. The ongoing feud, if you will, with the Yankees. And the Rays put them in their place. That 5-game division series win over the Yankees has got to be one of the biggest highlights in Rays team history. Then they go into the ALCS against Houston, walk-off Game 4. I mean, it was just a great series there. And in fact, I think they were more dominant against Houston than they were against the Yankees. The Dodgers were just a better team this year. Now, in a few months, they'll be headed back to spring training, and they've got some decisions to make over the winter. A few key roster moves. First of all, on a more, I think, lesser note, what do they do with Mike Zunino, their catcher, who is a free agent? Do they try to bring him back? Zunino's option is for $4 million. Not a real big, hefty price. Zunino had some clutch hits, more so in the American League division and LCS series than the World Series, but a very good defensive catcher. and he comes up with some big home runs. I was calling him the new Steve Yeager. For those of you, Kurt Hinton and others, know exactly what I'm talking about. But a bigger decision and more money is what are they going to do with star pitcher Charlie Morton. 37 years old. Charlie Morton's option is for $15 million. Now, there is a chance, of course, that Morton could retire. He could move on to something else. He struck out 6 in Game 7 against the Astros to close out that series. But that's a big decision they have to make. Now, Aaron Loup becomes a free agent. Not as major decision. They have young players, and they also have a kid, Wander Franco. Wander Franco, the number 1 international prospect in all of baseball, a shortstop. He will be ready to make his debut in 2021. I think he's going to fare well. Now, what will the Rays do with Willy Adames? I don't know. They're already set at second base with Brandon Lau. Do they make Adames a backup infielder? Do they trade him away somewhere else? These are all decisions that the Rays will have to make in the offseason. But notice, other than Morton, there are not any real pitching decisions to make. And Morton's is more a decision of age than really of anything else. So we shall see. Now, how about the Dodgers? World Series most valuable player Kyle Seager. Dodgers win the first series since '88. And, there was some talk about Justin Turner and him being on the field, having found out he had COVID. I don't know, did he find out in the 8th inning that he had COVID? That's kind of weird, I thought. But look at what it means for Clayton Kershaw, Kenley Jansen, other Dodger mainstays. Finally got the 1988 mantra off their shoulders. Kurt, I see your note about Steinbrenner running the Redbirds in St. Louis. The thing is, I don't know if the Steinbrenner family needs to run it, but somebody does other than what they have been doing. I mean, do they really think the Arozarena trade was a good trade at this point? How would you like to have that one back, St. Louis? Just a year removed. It was around this time last year that the Cardinals trade Randy Arozarena to Tampa for Matt Liberatore, a single-A left-handed pitcher. What did Liberatore... Now, Liberatore may turn out to be Cy Young, but I know in 2020 he didn't, and Arozarena did his best Babe Ruth imitation of anyone in the playoffs. So the Rays have that. The Cardinals, Kurt, since you've chimed in this morning, they've already... I see that they've allowed... they're not going to exercise their option on Colton Wong. To me, Colton Wong is one of the better offensive and defensive players they have. But at any rate, not for me to judge. But I did say earlier in the week I will be glad to put in my application to be the Cardinals general manager. So we will see. So let's go back to the Dodgers. 88, it took 8 tries in the playoffs before succeeding this time. Look. World Series tries in 17 and 18 did not work. Kershaw, the longest tenured Dodger, going back to 2008, finally gets that World Series ring. And now I think you can say, in fact, his last game when he went into the 6th inning was one of the more, not necessarily outstanding efforts he's pitched, but more gutsy efforts Kershaw has thrown in recent memory. Jansen was a rookie in 2011. More saves than any Dodger in history. He's not the pitcher he was. I was hoping he could get in at the end of the game, but the Dodgers chose to stick with Urias. And so now you have those 2 players with that World Series ring, and Justin Turner, who is about to enter free agency, could have played his last game as a Los Angeles Dodger. Don't you just know there'll be a lot of people interested in signing Justin Turner to a contract in the offseason? I mean, he's a great hitter, great team player. We'll see. The free agency market will be interesting, and we're going to do a show next week on free agents. I'm not going to get into that today. I want to congratulate the Dodgers for their World Series win, and I want to go over some fantasy football because tonight it's the Panthers taking field. They'll be, they're going at 8 o'clock. Is that an 8 o'clock kickoff? I believe it is. Tonight against the Falcons. The Falcons have been playing better lately. And a couple of notes here. First of all, look at Atlanta. Atlanta with Todd Gurley. The Panther defense is pretty good against the throw, but not so good against the run. Gurley's not been so successful running the ball this year, but I look for Gurley to put some good numbers tonight. So if you have Todd Gurley on your fantasy team, I say let's start him and see what happens. I'm not typically a fantasy football owner who likes to play players on Thursday night. It's a short week. It's a short practice week. It's a short recovery from Sunday. I don't think you get your best. Last week, before I traded him away, I started a Philadelphia Eagle wide receiver, Fulgham. He only got 9 fantasy points. He'd been getting a lot more than that. I don't know if it was a Thursday night, if it was just game script or what it was, but I historically will stay away from starting players on Thursday night. But that's not the case tonight. I think if you're an Atlanta Falcon and you've got any of those receivers or Todd Gurley or Matt Ryan, I think it's a great situation to start those players in fantasy. And for the Panthers, look, you're not going to get McCaffrey back. Saw this morning he will not be activated. So you're going to get one more week of Mike Davis at running back. If you have Mike Davis, start him. I mean, it's the Falcon defense. There's a reason they have a losing record. Start Mike Davis. Start Teddy Bridgewater if you have him. Now, Bridgewater's not going to throw you that 50-yard pass down the field, but he's going to dot you with 20 and 25s. And the Panthers have a couple of receivers at wide receiver that are worthy of playing in fantasy tonight as well. So, now I don't think I would start a defense for either team. If you have a team defense, Panthers or Falcons, I'd stay away from that. I could see this being a relatively high-scoring game tonight. So, remember those players. And I want to give you a couple of players, a few players, if you are looking at waivers and you're in a deep league. Now, these are deep league considerations, okay? Donovan Peoples-Jones, wide receiver for Cleveland. I'm going to call him DPJ because OBJ is now out for the year. DPJ was a 6th-round pick in this year's draft. He's a rookie, played at Michigan. Proponents point to the poor play of quarterback and limitations of the offense at Michigan as to why his college stats weren't better than they were, but none of that matters now. DPJ is with the Browns. Odell Beckham had season-ending surgery, and the Browns' leading receiver should be Rashard Higgins. But as a backup to Higgins, who caught 6 balls for 110 last week, I would say that DPJ is a good backup to Higgins if you're in a deep league. I just think I went out for a second. I hope I'm back. If you're in a deep league, keep your eye on DPJ. He was tied for second in team receiving in Week 7. The Browns are playing the Raiders. The Raider secondary is not their strong suit. DPJ caught all 3 of his targets, including a acrobatic, if you will, 25-yard toe-tapping touchdown late in the 4th quarter. He looks like he belongs in the NFL. He's not probably going to be the starter, but he is one that you can probably get off the waiver wire. How about, I'm going to try to pronounce his last name, Albert Okwuegbunam, probably wrong, Okwuegbunam, tight end for Denver. I'm going to call him Albert. Albert O. His ownership percentage in most leagues is 1%. Not ranked at all among the top 10 or top tight end waiver wire pickups. But while other people are adding